Syria civil war, the war against ISIL, instability in Yemen, all big challenges as a new king takes the reins in Saudi Arabia. Condolences and praise pouring in for the late King Abdullah, who died last week and was seen as a key Western ally. I sat down and spoke with Chas Freeman, a former U.S. ambassador to Saudi Arabia, about King Abdullah's legacy and his relationship with the West.
Well, I think Abdullah was a very great king. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think that is the reason that the flags are flying.
How was he a great king?
He was a great king because he began to redefine Islam in the Saudi context to be more tolerant, more respectful of women, more engaged with other faiths, because he settled the borders of the kingdom, which were unsettled when he came to power, because he brought Saudi Arabia into the World Trade Organization and thereby made it conform to the normal rules rather than the unique practices it had. Many things. In Saudi Arabia, you see reform only in the rearview mirror. You don't notice it when it happens, so it's easy to belittle. But he actually caused a great deal of change. But that isn't why the flags are flying at half-mast. They're flying at half-mast because Saudi Arabia has just reminded the world by doing nothing in response to the collapse of oil prices that rumors of its irrelevance were greatly exaggerated.
King Abdullah, you know, his supporters would say he made great strides in a very closed society, that he had tremendous successes. His opponents would say women still can't drive, women cannot work without their husband's permission. You had a blogger who was sentenced to 1,000 lashes. So what do you say, Ambassador, to those critics?
Saudi Arabia is a very puritanical, illiberal society. There's no doubt about it. I think it has made great progress, but if you don't know where it was, you can't tell how far it's come. And if you look at it from a Western perspective, it's certainly a great challenge to Western values in every respect.
But do you think there's a contradiction here? And I'm sorry to keep harping on this point. It seems when it comes to other nations of the world, the human rights issue, the way journalists are treated, the way women are treated becomes a very big focus for the United States and its allies. But when it comes to Saudi Arabia, some would say the U.S. and its allies turn a blind eye. Is it because of oil? Is it because of economics? Is it because of money?
Well, I don't think it's true that we turn a blind eye. I think as a society we've been quite critical of all of the issues that you mentioned. But I have to say our government, like other governments, speaks out in direct proportion to the lack of interest it has in maintaining good relations with other governments. There are governments in the world with whom we have no great ties. For example, the government of Zimbabwe, which is itself a very problematic government. Which I know well.
Mugabe.
Comrade Bob, to his friends. That is a problematic government, and we criticize it stridently because American interests are not much engaged with Zimbabwe. They are very engaged with Saudi Arabia.
Ambassador Freeman, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.